Have you ever felt like your own home was turning against you? Like something or someone you can't explain is watching from the shadows? Welcome to my viewers. Tonight's story comes from a man who just wanted peace in the stillness of the countryside, but what he got was something far more disturbing. I've always enjoyed late night walks. There's something about the stillness that makes everything feel simpler. I'm a welder by trade. Been doing it for over 40 years now. I live alone on a big farm. Just me and my dog, Bosley. The house is too large for one person, but I never had the heart to downsize. After my wife Maria passed away, my kids moved out years ago, and ever since cancer took her, it's just been me and Bosley. One night, after a long day in the shop, I decided to go for a walk. My property is pretty big, so just a single loop is usually enough to satisfy my craving. The air was cool, and Bosley trotted along beside me. Sometimes I think he likes me more than I like him. I've walked that loop hundreds of times, but as I was heading back toward the house, something caught my eye. I glanced up at the second-story window, the one that looks out from the bedroom Maria and I used to share. For a split second, I thought I saw something move. I stopped dead in my tracks, staring up at that window. There was no reason anyone should be in there. I hadn't been in that room in years. Couldn't bring myself to. I felt my blood start to boil at the thought of some stranger breaking into my house. I wasn't going to stand for that. I rushed inside, my heart racing, and ran upstairs. The room was empty, just like I'd left it. No sign of anything out of place. I looked everywhere imaginable but found nothing. Yes, I was pretty freaked out, but I was more angry than anything. I didn't take this kind of thing lightly. I figured I had just seen something that wasn't there. I stood there for a while, feeling foolish, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had been there. The next night, I woke up to Bosley growling. He's a good dog. Never barks unless there's something to bark at. I sat up in my bed, listening. That's when I heard creaking coming from upstairs. It could have just been the sounds of my old house, but my mind went directly to footsteps, which were coming from right above me. I'm sure you can guess which room is directly above mine. I debated grabbing my hunting rifle from downstairs, but didn't want to go that far. If it came down to it, I was fully confident that I could take whatever was up there hand to hand. I grabbed my flashlight and went to check again. Nothing. The room was exactly the same, untouched. My anger was definitely starting to turn into anxiety at this point. Something didn't feel right in the house. The following night, I came downstairs to find the kitchen lights on. I know I turned them off before bed. I don't leave lights on. There was no question anymore. Someone was in my house. I started to panic. I called the police and told them I thought someone might be sneaking around. They came out, searched the house from top to bottom, but found nothing. They were nice about it, told me to call again if I needed them, but I could tell they didn't believe me. The next night was the worst by far. I couldn't sleep, so I decided to go upstairs and check the bedroom again. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would settle my mind, but when I opened the door, I froze. There were clothes scattered all over the floor. Maria's clothes. I had packed them away after she died. Now they were everywhere. Something like this doesn't just happen randomly. And then I saw there was a woman standing in the doorway, just staring at me. I couldn't see her face clearly, but I could tell she wasn't Maria. She was too short. I don't know who she was, but she didn't belong there. I had never been so afraid in my life. Without thinking, I ran at her. She turned and bolted down the stairs and out the front door. By the time I got outside, she was gone. I searched the property with B, but there was no trace of her. I didn't sleep that night. For months after that, I couldn't. I was constantly on edge, convinced I heard footsteps upstairs. At night, every little noise set me off. I slept with my rifle next to my bed, terrified that I'd have to use it one night. Every little creak or gust of wind made my heart skip. I debated calling my brother to come stay with me, But I wasn't going to do that. I was raised to always handle my own. So that's what I did. The nightmare didn't end one night. I was sitting in the living room when I noticed a figure standing in the yard, looking straight at me through the window. It was her again. My heart felt like it stopped. I grabbed my hunting rifle and ran outside. Boss Lee close behind. She was still there, just a silhouette in the moonlight, watching me. I fired a few warning shots into the air, hoping to scare her off. That was enough to get her to turn and run into the darkness. But it's not like that made me feel any better. I was literally being tormented by some random woman who was probably homeless. I couldn't even imagine why this was happening to me. I stood there for a long time, waiting to see if she'd come back. She never did. I haven't seen her since, but I know it's only a matter of time. I'm fully prepared to defend myself, but I don't think living in perpetual anxiety like this is sustainable. Thank God for Boss Lee. I have no idea what I'd do without him. I'll send an update if anything happens. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Let me know in the comments what you think this woman was doing. And if you think she'll be back, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want more stories like this. Until next time, stay safe out there. Tonight's story might just make you think twice about stopping for fast food late at night or driving up to your favorite scenic overlook alone. You never really know who might be watching, or worse, who might be following. So sit back, turn the lights down low, and let me tell you about the night a midnight snack almost turned into something far more dangerous. I work for a catering service, which means I'm constantly on the road, often at odd hours. Most nights I'm hauling equipment in a massive truck the company makes me drive, delivering setups for weddings, banquets, you name it. It's not the worst gig in the world, but the late hours are brutal, and this isn't exactly what I saw myself doing with my life. Usually by the time I get home, I'm either wired from caffeine or completely drained and passed out for 12 hours straight. One night, after a particularly exhausting event, I was finally headed home around 2 a.m., and it felt good to be driving my own car again for once. But even though I was free for the night, I knew I wasn't going to fall asleep anytime soon. I was buzzing from Red Bulls, and on top of that, I hadn't eaten in hours. My stomach was practically eating itself, so I made a split-second decision to swing by the McDonald's off the highway, just 10 minutes from home. It's kind of my go-to for late-night cravings. I'm not a fast food junkie or anything, but every now and then, a few hot fries and a burger really hit the spot. I pulled into the drive-thru and was surprised to see a small line of cars. It was a Tuesday, well, technically Wednesday now, so I wasn't expecting anyone. I sat there staring out the window, spacing out, when something caught my eye. Parked all the way in the back corner of the lot was a beat-up old Volkswagen. The windows were tinted pitch black, and the way it was tucked into the shadows just didn't sit right. The McDonald's wasn't allowing dine-in, so whoever was in that car had no reason to be parked, and the employee parking was on the opposite side of the building. I brushed it off, assuming someone was just eating in their car like I sometimes did. Still, the vibe was off. I grabbed my food, pulled out of the drive-thru, and headed toward the mountain preserve near my house. One of those last-minute ideas you regret halfway through, but go through with anyway. I wasn't ready to be home alone in silence just yet, and the overlook at the top of the preserve had always been a peaceful spot from my younger days. When I got to the gravel turnout, near the trail entrance, the place was totally empty. No cars, no people, just me and the night. But before I could even kill the engine, headlights flared behind me, pulling in slowly. I looked up. It was that same damn Volkswagen. Same dents, same tinted windows, same eerie silence. They parked a few spaces away and turned off the engine. No one got out. No lights came on. It just sat there. My nerves were shot. I rolled up my window and gripped the steering wheel. Were they following me? Or was it really just some weird coincidence? I was too creeped out to walk the trail alone, but I didn't want to drive home either. The last thing I wanted was for this car to trail me back to my place. So I FaceTimed my friend Sebastian. I figured if he was asleep I'd leave, but he was actually awake, working on a paper, he said. I asked him to come meet me. To my relief, he agreed. Said he'd be there in 10. While I waited, I kept my eye on the Volkswagen. It didn't move. No one stepped out, but it also didn't leave. I told myself I was being paranoid. Sebastian finally pulled up, and I felt instant relief. We got out and started walking the path toward the overlook, but before the parking lot faded from view, I looked back, and that's when I saw it. All 4 doors on the Volkswagen opened at once. 4 guys stepped out in unison. They didn't speak. They just stood there, staring at each other. I nudged Sebastian, who caught on immediately. We didn't want them seeing us, so we quickly kept walking until the trees and incline blocked the lot from view. I was on edge, but Sebastian seemed unfazed. They're probably just here to smoke, he said, and maybe he was right. At the top, the city lights glittered in the distance. It was a beautiful view, enough to calm me down for a while. We ate and talked, leaning against the rock wall that kept people from falling off the mountain's edge. That peace didn't last long. Voices, laughter, then footsteps. 3 of the guys appeared from the woods, walking toward us, passing a blunt around like it was just another night out. They smiled, acted chill, but they didn't find their own spot. They came right up to. The guy holding the blunt was covered in tattoos, had a septum ring, and looked like trouble. He smiled faintly and asked if we wanted to smoke. We politely declined. One of the other guys laughed and called us pussies. Sebastian gave a sarcastic chuckle, brushing it off. But then I asked something I probably shouldn't have. What were you doing at McDonald's earlier? That's when things changed. The guy with the blunt dropped his smile. His eyes narrowed. The other 2 stopped laughing. No one said anything for what felt like a full minute. I suddenly remembered there were 4 guys in the car. Only 3 were in front of us. My stomach dropped. Finally, the ringleader lifted his hoodie to show a McDonald's uniform. I work nights, he said. Just got off. We come here every night after It sounded believable enough, but I couldn't shake the unease gnawing at me. We made the decision to leave. As we started walking down, Sebastian stopped cold and pointed into the trees. I followed his gaze, and there he was, the 4th guy, half hidden in the woods, watching, holding something. The second our eyes locked, he started moving. We ran, heart hammering, lungs burning. We tore down the path. I could hear them behind us. Footsteps, breathing, curses, branches snapping. We didn't look back. Not once. We reached the lot, dove into our cars, and sped off. I didn't drive home. I didn't want them to know where I lived. I met Sebastian a few blocks from his house, and we just sat there stunned, shaking. He'd managed to snap a picture of them during the encounter. We returned to the McDonald's the next day to talk to someone. A younger employee listened, wide-eyed. When we showed him the photo, he said something I'll never forget. The guy in the photo, he didn't work there anymore. He'd been fired for stalking his ex-girlfriend, another employee. She got a restraining order. He'd been lurking in the parking lot every few nights, waiting for her. We weren't supposed to be the ones he followed. I haven't been back since. Not to that McDonald's. Not to the preserve. I just hope he doesn't remember my face or my
Thanks for tuning in. Tonight's story is a personal one, and it's been stuck in the back of my mind for years. It's about an abandoned church, a group of reckless teens, and something none of us could explain. So grab a blanket, turn off the lights, and let me take you back. Forgive me if I don't remember every single detail. This happened a while ago. I grew up in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. Not much goes on around there, so finding things to do as a teenager meant getting creative. Back in high school,
My friends and I had a habit of sneaking into old, abandoned buildings. That was our idea of fun. I didn't realize until later how common that kind of urban exploration was. But for us, it felt like something special, like we had discovered our own secret playgrounds. One of those places was an old, decaying church in nearby Narberth. The place had been left to rot, and nature was starting to reclaim it. I still remember the exact address, 198 Elmwood Avenue. That church became our go-to haunt. Whenever we wanted a late-night thrill, we'd been there a couple of times before, always after dark, usually with a speaker and some cheap booze, just dumb teenager stuff. This one particular fall night still stands out. The air had that crisp bite to it, leaves scraping the pavement, everything smelling like cold earth and smoke. There were 6 of us, me, Luna, Gina, Johnny, Max, and Ale. We climbed the 8-foot chain link fence, like usual, using a gap near a tree where the ground sloped up a bit. The doors were all boarded up, so we always used the same broken window along the side of the building. It creaked when you climbed through, like it didn't want to let you in. Inside, the first floor was a shell, no floorboards, just dirt and debris. Someone had gutted the place long ago, leaving a gaping pit in the center where a crumbling concrete staircase led down to the basement. That's where we always ended up. It felt like stepping into another world down there, cold, damp, and strangely silent, like sound didn't quite carry the same. The basement had 3 rooms. 2 were open, but one had a door, which always creeped us out a little. That night, we all piled into the largest open room. Old furniture littered the place. A few broken chairs, a couch with its stuffing clawed out, and what looked like a pulpit, covered in graffiti. Johnny, who always got tipsy fast, kept laughing way too loud. I had to shush him more than once, glancing at the stairs like someone might hear us. But it was nice having a big group, safety in numbers, right? Then, out of nowhere, a door slammed. We all jumped. The sound echoed through the basement like a gunshot. It didn't make sense. None of us were near any doors. The air instantly felt heavier. Luna, Gina, and Johnny took off up the stairs without a word. I don't blame them. That left me, Max, and Ale, the self-proclaimed fearless ones. We told ourselves it was the wind. Deep down though, we knew better. We waited a few minutes in tense silence before deciding to investigate. The door that had slammed was the only one in the basement. When we opened it, we found a small cluttered room. Dust floated in the air like ash dust. Against one wall was a wooden dresser with a cracked mirror, and smeared across it were red stains. At first, I assumed it was old paint, but as I got closer, my stomach turned. It was still wet, still sticky, that sheen of freshness. It wasn't old at all. Something or someone had left it there recently. And then I saw the photograph. It was an old black and white picture of a woman in a wedding dress, tucked awkwardly against the mirror. Her smile was too wide, too forced. There was something deeply wrong about it. I don't even know how to explain it, but I felt a kind of dread settle in my chest, like a weight. I backed away, and just as I turned to leave, we heard another sound. This time it wasn't a door. It came from the room we had just left, shuffling, like footsteps. Max and Ale looked at me, wide-eyed, and bolted without a second thought. I didn't argue. We grabbed what little we had, and ran like hell. Once we were outside and over the fence, we just stood there breathing hard, not speaking. I turned back one last time before we left, and I swear I saw something, a silhouette in the window we'd used to climb in, just standing there, motionless. I told myself it was a trick of the light, that my mind was playing games with me, but part of me knows better. We never went back, not together. Life pulled us in different directions after high school, and we never talked much about that night again. Years later, I went back on my own. I wanted to see it again, maybe make some sense of what happened, but the church was gone, demolished. Nothing but a patch of weeds and cracked pavement remained. I still don't know what we encountered that night. Maybe it was a squatter, maybe something worse. All I know is, I've never experienced anything like it since, and I hope I never do again. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment telling me what you think might have been in that church. And don't forget to subscribe for more creepy stories just like this. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.